Winter. Beneath its cold and windy exterior lies a treasure trove of fun. Snow starts to fall and pile up, allowing you to have snow fights with other people and build snowmen. Assuming you live in the right place anyway. It never snows around here. Nothing but cold, wind and rain. Oh well. It's still winter, which means it's time to play winter games. Like Shawn White Snowboarding, a snowboarding game featuring Shawn White. Doesn't get more straightforward than that. It was developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by... yeah, of course it was published by Ubisoft. I've had this game for years, but I never even gave it the time of day. Considering the fact that it's a licensed game based on some famous person, the fact that I never heard anything about it since it was released in 2008, and the fact that it's a Ubisoft game led me to assume that it wasn't worth my time. Especially since I don't follow snowboarding and have never actually played any snowboarding game before. The closest I've gone to it is the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series, but comparing the two is like comparing driving a sports car and driving a tank. Sure enough, my first impression wasn't very good. The people in charge of porting the game to PC clearly didn't care. The biggest problem is knowing the control layout. Not the controls themselves, but what keys and buttons do what. The only labels you get in the game are generic button numbers, regardless of whether you're playing with a keyboard or with a controller. My first half hour with the game consisted mostly of me trying to figure out how to even play the game. The game also doesn't seem to natively support X input. If you're not familiar with it, basically it's the API used by Xbox controllers. Around 2007, Xbox controllers and equivalents started being the standard controller for many PC games. Games ported from the Xbox 360 to PC commonly supported these natively, which was convenient if you had one. If the game doesn't support these, the controller still sort of works, but the buttons will be all messed up. Considering the time at which this game was released, not supporting these is kind of silly and lazy, like the rest of the PC version. The game also only supports a very limited amount of resolutions, and there's barely any graphical settings to customize. Still, to be fair, the few options that do exist make a huge difference. But I'm pleased to say that, once I figured out how to actually play the game, I was greeted with hours of fun. You start out by creating your character. While you're stuck with only a dozen of faces to choose from in terms of body customization, there are a ton of snowboards and quilts to pick from. Only a handful are unlocked at the start, but as you earn money, you'll be able to buy from a very nice selection. You're then instantly thrown into the wild. You get to descend the mountain for a bit while a few tutorials tell you the basics. Sometime later, you trigger a cutscene where you try to be the coolest guy around but end up humiliating yourself. Worry not, because Snowboarding Jesus is there for you, and he got it all on tape. Soon enough, you'll be a YouTube star. He introduces you to his friends, and then tells you to go get some coins scattered throughout the tracks. Now you can either go grab those coins, or you can go have some fun. There are 4 tracks to choose from: Park City, Europe, Alaska and Japan. There's also a Target Mountain, which is exclusive to a limited version sold in Target stores, and a DLC exclusive mountain, which apparently isn't even available on PC. Probably for the best. Regardless, you're now free to do whatever you want, and that's where the fun comes from. The tracks are huge and full of opportunities to pull off tricks and stunts, but just racing down them is a joy as well. There's something about speeding down these mountains that fascinates me. It just feels right. Maybe it's the sense of speed and freedom. The tracks are long enough that going from the top to the bottom can take upwards of 10 minutes. There are various points throughout the tracks that you can instantly move to, in case you want to repeat a specific area. You will also find a bunch of challenges to clear, but really who cares? For me, this game is all about taking it easy. During the descent, you will find tons of ramps, rails, logs, houses and who knows what else. This, of course, also means ample opportunities to fabulously slam your face against the snow. But worry not, because you'll be back in action a few moments later. You also kind of sorta have to worry about triggering an avalanche, but it's alright, you'll be reborn from the earth right away. No biggie. With a bit of practice, you'll be capable of adequately traversing the mountains while scoring some decent tricks. It's just a shame that there don't seem to be that many tricks to perform. Maybe that's just because of how snowboarding is in the first place. Going back to that silly comparison with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, one thing that can be pointed out is that you're capable of grabbing and moving the skateboard with your hands, while the snowboards in this game are held by your character's legs. It wouldn't make much sense to have as much freedom in snowboarding tricks compared to skating tricks, but still it feels a bit lacking in variety. Oh well, you can't have it all. I'm also mildly annoyed by the first-person camera, which doesn't actually follow the player's head. It's always at the same angle, even if you're spinning in the air. This is disorienting to say the least. I'm guessing the developers did this in order to not confuse the player, but honestly, the way it functions isn't any better. It would also be nice if there was an option to turn off the interface for that extra bit of immersion. I also want to award the game some points for having a dedicated snowball button. At any time, you can charge up and throw snowballs at other snowboarders. The best part is that it's all in good fun, and sometimes they even join in the fun and throw one at you. This sounds dumb, but it just adds to the game's relaxed and playful atmosphere. The AI's questionable pathfinding is the cherry on top of the snow cake. To go along with your radical snowboarding is a selection of licensed music from artists such as Goldfinger and MGMT. You have a few playlists that you can jump between at any time, and the tracks are all bright and energetic music to get you pumped up for slamming your head against the snow. I wish the Chillax playlist was more, well, chilled and relaxed, but that's a minor complaint. The Wii got its own game called Road Trip, which supported the Wii Balance board. I haven't touched that one, but it seems that it got a better reception than the main one. It must have, because in 2009, the Wii got a second title, World Stage. A mobile game was also released for iOS called Shawn White Snowboarding Origins? Origins? Seriously, Ubisoft? Origins? What kind of chilled out sports game has the subtitle Origins? What the heck? Either way, in 2010, Shawn White got his own skateboarding game, appropriately called Shawn White Skateboarding, since it's a skateboarding game featuring Shawn White. I had no idea it even existed until I looked it up. Snow White Shawnboarding is the hardest kind of game for me to judge. In fact, I don't think I'm even qualified to give it a proper judgment. I feel like a game journalist right now. I have no will to complete the story missions or the challenges. I'm terrible at playing it. I don't have anything to compare it to. I don't have any experience with snowboarding or snowboarding games, and on top of that, it's hard for me to explain why I found it so fun. It doesn't strike me as a particularly good game, especially with the whole target business, but I certainly got a lot of enjoyment from playing it. I'll probably even boot it up again next winter. It felt like going on vacation. It's a very relaxed experience. I failed over and over, but it was all in good fun. I enjoyed crashing headfirst into the snow as much as I did jumping and performing amazing tricks. I enjoyed being a dick and throwing snowballs at the AI snowboarders, and cracked a smile when they joined the fun and started firing back. This game is digital youth, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Later, dude.
Origins? What the heck, Ubisoft? Did you seriously just give a sports game the freaking Origins subtitle? Origins. Origins. Shaun White Snowboarding Origins. Ubisoft. Origins.